G'day guys, how you going? Iski here. Listen, I've got this dryer. It's an Electrolux dryer. This is basically identical to a Simpson and a Westinghouse dryer. Although this particular dryer here is closer to a Westinghouse dryer because the Westinghouse dryer is also a fully automatic dryer. Now, the deal with this dryer is, I don't know. I'm not sure what's wrong with it. I'm not sure if there's anything wrong with it. And yesterday, basically, I had all of these dryers on my carport driveway, or my driveway, and that's them there. And I had to get them fixed. They all had faults. I fixed them within a couple of hours, tested them, and they're sitting there now. Now, this is the last one I went to do, and there didn't seem to be anything wrong with it. I turned it on and it was working great. So I threw in some wet washing and just let it rip. And I went away. I came back 15 minutes later, 20 minutes maybe, and it had stopped. And I thought to myself, did it just stop because the cycle was over? Or did it stop prematurely because there's a fault? So, yeah, and the washing was all wet. It wasn't wet, but it was still pretty damp. It's definitely not dry. So what I'm going to do, I've got some wet washing to throw in now. I should basically just throw the wet washing in and see how this one goes and monitor it a bit more carefully. But I don't want to waste a good wet wash. I don't want to go and, redo, wet them all again in the washing machine and spin them, blah, blah, blah. So what I thought I would do is actually go into this machine now, just have a look around, maybe clean it out. Maybe there's some, clogged up dust or something. I don't think there is. This machine looks like it's pristine. But yeah, I thought I'd go in there, at least clean it out, have a bit of a look around, maybe look at the thermistor, the sensor, the drying sensor. I don't think that's going to be the problem. But I thought maybe I might do that just before I actually throw that washing in there. And then if it does it again, I'll know there's a definite problem and I'll start replacing some stuff. But that's the plan for today. What I'll do is I'll set you on this, step ladder. I think found this at the dump. I'll just angle you down and I'll get started. All right, so with these dryers, as you know, you want to work on them face down. Oh, in fact, should I turn this on? I do have this plugged in. In fact, yeah, let's quickly just turn it on. I'll show you very quickly. I do have it plugged in, so let's just hit play. There you go. You can see it's working great. Sounds perfect. I seriously don't think there's anything as far as, dust clogging it up, blah, blah, blah. So you see, the problem is, I'll just turn that off, power that off as well. The thing with these dryers is sometimes they do get clogged up with so much dust and gunk that the hot air that's supposed to go past the thermistor or the heat sensor, it's so gunked up it just doesn't get a good reading. But this is, look at this. Look at that lint filter. It's spotless, and even the pocket that's sitting in is spotless. So I don't think it's dust. But I would say there is a problem with it because you don't throw away a good dryer like this if there's nothing wrong with it, So let's see what we can see. What are you seeing at the moment? All right. So we're just going to take this top off. You've seen me do it before. All of these perimeter screws around there, as well as around this shroud, we have to take that Phillips head off as well. So I'll just set you back here. Sorry, I'm going to see if I can kind of rip through this. My videos are too long. All of my videos are too long, and it's starting to piss me off. All right. Look at this. This is normally full of lint as well. There's a tiniest bit there, but that's nothing. So it's definitely not, it hasn't been abused, that's for sure. Alright, we just want to take this bearing nut off here. And the washers. Alright, so let's just lift this up. Slide this power cord out and disconnect it from the heater inside. And it looks spotless inside. That's one of the cleanest dryers I think I've ever seen. I've never, well, yeah, that is like the cleanest dryer. I'm not even going to blow it out. It's spotless. Seriously, what's wrong with this? Looks like it hasn't even been used. Normally you see like a fine mist of dust on the bottom and on the sides, but if you would ask me, I would have said this dryer has probably been used maybe 3 times. But let me just check a couple of things that aren't related to our problem. The idler feels good. I mean, that capacitor is really strong. Although I probably will replace that. I do replace capacitors in these dryers when I sell them, these Electrolux anyway. But listen, I can't see anything in here that would actually ring alarm bells. Now that switch I was telling you about, that sensor, the thermistor, this is it here. You can see it there. Let's just pull that out. I mean, I can't see anything wrong with that. But you can't really see any physical problems with these anyway. But I don't think it's that, so I'm just going to put that back for the time being. All right. Yeah, so it wasn't a waste of time pulling that apart, but there's definitely nothing there that is telling me there's a problem. So what I'm going to do is put the back on. You know, I'll just put it on with a couple of screws, throw some washing in there, and let it rip. Alright, so that's holding everything together. I'm just going to upright it, go and grab some washing, stick it in, and see what happens. This is a big load. This is a lot of washing. Alright. It's plugged in. Okay, we're on normal dry. Temperature normal. Let's just hit play. So it's going like a champ at the moment. So I'll record the time and see how long this lasts. All right, update time. Well, here we go. This is the second cycle, believe it or not. You saw me put the first cycle in yesterday, and that completed perfectly. Not a single problem. It was only like 40 minutes and it was completely dry. And yeah, can't complain. So I was left wondering, what the hell? And so I thought I'll wait for today and I'll stick another load on, because while I do it, if I do it during the day, I've got solar on the roof. I don't have to pay for this electricity. And yeah, it's I actually put this load on at midday. It's now 1:30, so it's 1.5 hours and it's still going. So this machine is either, not turning off, or it's turning off way too soon. So that could only be one of two things. It could be the computer, or it could be the thermistor, which I actually kind of pointed out yesterday. Pretty sure I did that. Well, when I was in there yesterday having a look around, I noticed that thermostat was hardwired. Most of them these days have thermistors that have terminals on the end, and you can just pull the wires off and just put a new thermistor in. But this particular one is hardwired, so that's going to be fun. So what I'm going to do is actually try out the computer first. We're going to replace the computer. Hopefully that fixes it. If it doesn't fix it, I'll actually have to snip that off and solder a new thermistor in. But to be honest, I've actually got harnesses. I could actually replace the entire wiring harness with a wiring harness that has, thermistor that requires the terminal ends. But I don't think I could do that. Nah, I don't think I'll do that. I'll have to think about it. Yeah, soldering another one on is probably easier. But, leave it with me. I'll be back shortly. All right, well, listen, I was actually just looking at the previous footage that I shot of this yesterday, and 15 minutes later I heard the chime of this machine. It chimed, telling me that it had finished, and it went through the cooling cycle and so forth. So 15 or 20 minutes after I signed off before, the machine actually completed its second cycle. So what's that? An hour and 3/4. So, but yeah, that's way too long. But what I did notice when I was looking back at my other footage was I did put a hell of a lot of washing in. I put a lot more than what it really should take. So it you could kind of forgive it for taking a lot longer. Still, an hour and 3/4 is too long in my eyes. But the thing, remember what I said? I did do that first load and it did finish within 45 minutes. So I'm pretty sure there's something going on. So what I've done is I've actually just pulled out half of that dry load and left the other half in there. And I'm just going to kind of time this and see how long this dry load takes to turn off. It should turn off within 15 to 20 minutes. And I know what you're saying. You'd think that because it's dry, it should turn off within 5 minutes. That's not the case. I'll tell you now, I'd hate to disappoint all the people that buy these expensive automatic dryers thinking that they're going to save electricity, that they're just going to turn off straight away. They don't. They actually overdry sometimes they overdry by 25 or so minutes, and that's when the clothes are already dry. So you're way better buying a manual machine and just kind of getting used to setting it to, 20 minutes or 25 minutes. You will be a lot better in the long run. But I'm not getting into all of that. For now, I'm just going to let this thing kind of run its course and see what happens, and I'll be right back. All right, well, that cycle finished, and it took, I'd say, 40 to 45 minutes to finish. I mean, that was half a load of washing, and it was already dry. So there you go. They take such a long time to turn off, but I'm kind of wondering whether that's normal. A lot of machines, the exact same model machine like this, it happens quite a bit, but some of them will actually kind of turn themselves off within 15 to 20 minutes. That's what you really want, I think. So what I've done is I've actually pulled that washing out now, and I've set it off on another cycle without any washing, and I'm just going to time this. So far this has been going, there's hot air coming out of there, mind you. This has been going for 15 to 20 minutes now, so it's crazy, hey? So if it goes for another 15 minutes, I'm definitely going to look into it. I'm definitely going to look at that. I'm pretty sure it's the heat sensor, the thermistor. I don't think I'm going to do anything with that computer. I don't think I will. I'm pretty sure the computer's fine. It has got to be a thermistor issue. But I'll give it a bit more thought while this finishes and let you know at the end. All right. Well, it's been about 35 minutes, probably been about 40 minutes now. We have dropped down to the cooling stage, and that's too long. Too long for a dryer to be drying with nothing in it before it actually drops down to cooling. So I am going to kind of, listen, I had almost talked myself into replacing the thermistor or the heat sensor straight away. But no, I'll go back to plan A. I'll replace the computer. And the only reason I'm going to do that is because I can do that within 2 to 3 minutes. It's that simple. I mean, I'm not replacing just the computer. I'll actually replace this entire front section. So it's just a few, plugs and things. So I'll do that. I'll test it out again, see if there's been any improvement. And if there hasn't been any improvement, I'll do the heat sensor. So just give us a second, or well, for you guys it'll be a second. For me it'll be a few hours, and I'll be right back. Okay, well, sorry about this, but it's 3 weeks later. Yeah, this happens with me a lot. I get sidetracked, things happen, and I've got other things to do. And this dryer, I just didn't have time to, keep troubleshooting it, but I think I want to keep going with it now. You can see I've just pulled it out. I've put it on the driveway. So what I'm going to do is actually, first of all, turn it around. And then I've actually got some wet washing, and you can see we have a new interface there. I'm quickly going to swap it over and stick that washing in, because I have to go out, and I think while I'm out, I may as well have this thing doing something, right? So let's turn it around. In fact, let's... should we leave it that way? No, we'll turn it right around. Alright, so let's just leave it there like that. Listen, I'm not going to go into great detail about how to swap these things over. I will make a dedicated video on that at some point. But one thing I did forget was my driver for my, Phillips head. I need a Phillips head. That's all I need to use, but just give us a second. I'll be right back. Alright. So basically, when you want to swap one of these over, all you need to undo is that screw there. It's a Phillips head, and there's one on the other side as well. And let me just do that. 1, 2. Now I know this computer works because I pulled it off a machine that actually works. So basically, all I do now is pull it off like that. In fact, you might find this interesting. I will show you. See that black wire here? That's our heat sensor. So that goes down into the housing, into the shroud, and on the other end of that wire is our sensor. But we have to, disconnect all of these wires and then plug them into this computer here. So I'm going to do that now. Just put you back here. All right. Oh, I wish I had brought a pair of pliers. Sometimes you do need pliers. Sometimes these. There we go. That one, 2. This is your power switch just here. Okay. Wow. So this was made in 28th of the 11th in 2019. Wow. Version 2 it says. Okay. Let's plug this one in here. This one says build date 10/10/28, so I'm assuming that's 2010. Anyway, let's plug this heat sensor back in there. Put the power switch back on. All right, and put that back on. Screw it back in. Okay, now I am just going to throw a bit of washing in there. Well, I'm going to put a fair bit of washing in here, I should say. That should do. Now let's just make sure that the filter is completely clean, so there's no air blocking that, so that can't be factored in to our problem. Okay. I'll just go get me some power. All right, there we go, we're off and running. So we got our washing going. I'm going to head out now. I'm going to do some things. I'll be back in probably 40 minutes. I'm just going to record the time. I just started it, and if this takes, say, longer than 45 minutes, 40 minutes, yeah, it should really take about 40 minutes, 45 minutes. If it takes like over an hour, then I know that there's definitely something still wrong. I'll actually retest it and retest it again, and if it's still looking like there's an issue, we'll have to replace that heat sensor. But for now, I'm just going to let this go and go out and come back, so I'll be back for you guys in a second. Honey, I'm home. All right, so it's been an hour and I would say 5-10 minutes, and this is still going. It's still turning. So it's looking more and more likely that it is a heat sensor issue. But I did put a hell of a lot of washing in there, so I'm going to give it another 10 or 15 minutes. If it closes down within that time, I'll test it again with a smaller load. I'll stick a very small load in and see how long it takes to turn off. And if it's the same type of thing, I am going to replace the heat sensor. In fact, to be honest, I might even replace the heat sensor anyway. There's no harm doing that. At least you can be sure, you know. So anyway, that's the plan. Leave it with me. See how we go. Okay, finally. Now that took maybe 1.5. No, it was probably more like 1 hour, 15 minutes. It was crazy. So listen, I'm not doing any more testing. That's enough. Now, the thing is, I'm just going to replace the sensor, the heat sensor, and we have one here. I've just pulled this off a wiring harness off another Electrolux machine. But there you go. So that's our sensor. That's the part that we have to replace. And this end here, I showed you that earlier, that plugs into the computer. So let's do that. Now the other thing is, I'll just let you know, I haven't done this fix before. I've never done it. What I remember replacing was a heat sensor in the exact same spot that this sensor was positioned in this machine many, many years ago. And it was just a simple case of just pulling the terminals. There was wires on the terminals, and you just pull the sensor off and just chuck another one in. It's so simple. And I just started wondering to myself, what machine was that? And I think I've just worked this out now, that I've told you before that these Electroluxes are identical to Simpsons, but the Simpson dryers are manual timers, whereas this one here is an automatic. Now I just so happen to have on this little bit of timber up here, I have the shroud out of a Simpson dryer. So you can see here, that's the manual timer up there, and this is basically the guts. Now, where the sensor is in the Electrolux is basically here, this here. So that's the thing that I replaced many, many years ago. And just now, I've started wondering to myself, hey, listen, if this is actually a manual machine, manual timer machine, why does it even need a sensor? It's not like it needs it to tell it when to turn off automatically, right? Because it's not an automatic machine. So I'm not sure. I'm embarrassed to say that it's taken me this long to even think this question. What the hell is this thing, and what's it for? So I haven't done any research on it yet, but just coming to mind, I actually think, just off the top of my head, I think this must be some kind of safety cutout sensor. I'm not sure. I'm not really sure what the purpose is, but I would say it's some kind of safety thing. But wouldn't it be nice if the Electrolux were that easy? All you need to do is pull those wires off the terminals and just throw another one in. That would be so cool, but it's not. So what we have to do is delve into this thing and kind of replace the entire wire. So I'm not going to show you me actually pulling this apart. I'm just going to take the back off and we'll start from there. Alright, so I've actually forgot that I had taken most of the screws out of this previously. So what I'm going to do now is actually take this bowl out, because I think it's going to be a lot easier if I take the bowl out and then sit it up. I might actually sit it back on where that toolbox is. So just to take this bowl out, hang on, let me just get this gimbal working. There we go. So see this spring? There's a spring down here. Let me just angle you over here. So it's very difficult to do this while holding a camera. So I'm just going to take the tension by unhooking that spring, pushing this motor back that way, lifting the belt off, taking that off. And now we can pull the drum off. So I'm just going to set you here, pull the drum out, and probably just set this up the top there, right? So give us a second. So we'll just pull the bowl out and stick this on my wheelie bin. Now this should be a lot easier to lift, actually. It should be very light. I'm going to lift it up here. Okay, so there we go. Can we see up here? I might have to go and get a torch, but you can see just in here, that's the other end of our heat sensor. That's where it plugs into the computer. You can see this wire runs down around here, down and behind the shroud. So I'm not really sure what the best way to do this is. Listen, what I'm going to do is actually take this computer off. I'm going to set you back here. I am going to put the original computer. Remember I had this computer? I replaced this computer. I'm putting the original back on. Now, you know what I think? I have a feeling they've tried to fix this dryer before, because this computer looks like it's been replaced. This is a version 2, and I said that this was 2019, which I'm not sure when they actually stopped making this particular model, but I'm pretty sure it was before 2019. So they've replaced the computer. I have a feeling maybe that's what they thought would fix the problem. So, but it didn't, so they got rid of it. Anyway, well, I reckon it's this. That's got to be the only other thing. So, okay, so I'm just going to undo these screws on the side for this computer. Can I put you on this drum here? Okay, I'll just set you there for a second. So I'm just going to pull this off again and disconnect everything. So remember this black wire here, this is the heat sensor. So I'll pull that off. There we go. So I'm just going to set this computer back up here. Now, so this is the computer I'm putting back, right? This is our new heat sensor. How should we do this, guys? I have no idea. Never done it before. Not sure. Let me think. I'll be back with you in a second. I'll just work out what's the best way to run this cable. All right, so I just spent 5 minutes trying to work out, you know, a way to run this wire. You can see the existing wiring harness. You can even see the black wire in there from the old one, or the one that's not, presumably not working correctly. So what I worked out is you can follow that, but you get to this point basically in the corner down here, and your heat sensor can't get past that point. It's too difficult. And even if all those wires weren't there, you couldn't basically make it go down, turn a right angle, then turn another right angle, and then pull it through, and then plug it where that one's plugged. So that's just too hard. So what I thought is, let's see if we can run it the other way. Let's see if we can run it coming around here. And I actually think that's an idea. If people don't want to do what I'm about to suggest, they can do it that way, I guess. You just don't want that wire to get anywhere near the rotating drum. And I thought maybe you could even get some small cable ties and cable tie it to these, you know, holes that are pre-punched into this tin. But listen, I'm not going to be, it's not that it's a dodgy way of doing it. It's just that I want to do it the correct way for YouTube. So to do it the correct way, what we have to do, we're forced to do it. We have to remove this entire shroud, the entire guts of this machine. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do now. So let's do that. I'm just going to set you back here, get you right out of the way. I think you should be able to cotton on to what I'm doing from a distance. Okay, let's put that there. So first of all, take your computer off. We've worked that out, right? So that's it, your computer's off. Now what we have to do is take the door off. So 2 screws here, 1, 2. Now, as you can see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. We need to take these screws out. Well, we need to take all of the screws out. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the last screw is basically this one here. And that there is our door lock. Our door lock screw. So that basically is holding this little piece here on. So if we pull that off, just pull that off. Now, we don't have to do anything else. That's all we have to do for the front. That's cool, because this entire part here is now free. But what we do need to do is lie it on its side, I guess. I've never done it this way. Okay. You can see underneath we have 1 screw, 2 screw, 3 screw. These are all hex bits, these 3 here, and then you have a Phillips head here. We need to take all of those off. Now I'll just show you something before I do those, because it could actually save you a bit of confusion later. Now just remember this part here. Can you see this? There's a long kind of flat bit of steel here. That could very possibly just fall out. So just remember, hey listen, take photos. That's the best way of doing this. Take photos as you go. But that screw there is actually holding that bit of flat bar in there. But yeah, sometimes they fall out. It's easy to put back in. I just thought I'd show you that, because you might go, where the hell did this thing come from? Because I've done that so many times. All right, so I am going to set you there. Oh, whoops, sorry. Hang on. Stupid gimbal. That's my gimbal. I pressed the wrong button. Okay, I'm going to set you back here. Okay. Now, I've got my Phillips head on this driver already. Now, I'm just going to change this to a 1/4 inch hex bit. Take these 3 off. All right, so that drum should be free now. So what I might do, I don't know, I've never actually worked on a machine on its side like this before. This is all new to me. So I'm just setting up a ladder, a step ladder, to put this camera on so you can see what I'm doing. All right, so you can see here we have it like that. So basically, I'm just going to feed these wires through
just like that. Now what I'm going to do is, listen, there's 2 more screws. I might just take these off as well. See these screws here? They're holding the power cable. It's kind of like a connector. We have to take those off as well. Although I'm not sure if you really need to, but I'm going to. Let me have a look. Actually, no, you don't need to. You don't need to. You can actually just, yeah, there you go. Just unplug it. Just unplug it like I've just unplugged that. All right, now what we're going to do is grab this. Let's just grab it grab this bit of venting here and pull this out. This should actually come out. There we go. There you go. Did you see that? That bit of steel that I was telling you about, that flat bar, just fell down. This thing here. And I'll show you how to put that back in a bit later on. Okay, so I guess doing it this way really isn't that much more difficult. So there we go. You can follow that black wire. It goes down underneath here. So basically what I'm going to do is run the wire along there with that. I don't know if you necessarily have to tape everything. You can see how they've got it all taped there. I don't think I'm going to do that. But what I am going to do is I am going to put a black O, or just a mark on there. I normally put an O on it, which means original. And that means that we don't want to plug that one back in. I'm not going to cut this one off. You just never know. I can't work out what else it could be apart from a heat sensor issue, but just in case that's not the issue, let's not cut it just yet. So I'm just going to go and grab a pen and do that. Alright, so I've got my felt pen. I'm just going to put an O on here. I don't know if I've got enough room. Yeah, just means original. Don't plug that one in. Okay. So what I might do is actually lose this housing, so I can bring the camera over and you're not so far away. There we go. Right, so we have our heat sensor here. Basically, you can see we just want to basically trace along there. You can see where we need to run it. I think I can just set you here, can't I? You're facing into the sun, but it's going to have to work from now. So I'm just going to get those basically at the right spot. Okay, just follow this around. Just going to put it in there. Then I'm going to run it through here. Then I'm going to feed it through there. Then I'm going to feed it through here. Listen, I am going, rather than put sticky tape, I'm going to grab some cable ties, some small little cable ties, and just kind of hold it on to certain parts of this harness. Okay, and then we're going to run it through this one, through that one. In fact, I'm going to go and grab my cable ties now and do it while we do it. Okay, so I got some cable ties. Let's just bring this here. Let's just cable tie that first. Just going to grab some pliers so I can snip those off. Another one. Listen, I'm just going to put cable ties wherever I see a bit of sticky tape. You don't have to. May as well. It's all exposed. Put another one down here. Okay, where are we? Let's do another one here. Now, how do we do this? Can we just face it downwards? Yeah, let's just do that. There we go, that's simple. No harm. Okay, let's just keep following this around. You can see it goes over the top here. Let's just run that around. Put another cable tie here, I reckon. And one more should do it. Let's just stick another one here. That's the last one. I have definitely not done this before. This is the first time I've done this. Don't know why they don't make it easy like the other ones, the Simpsons. To be honest, I reckon if you're good at soldering, if you got some solder, you could probably just cut that off and easily just solder them on. But we're not going to be doing that. Okay, so let me just set you back here a little bit and set this upright. And turn it around. There we go. You can see our donor heat sensor here. Let's just pull this one out. So, yeah, you just pull that out. I mean, just looking at that, I can't see anything there that says, you know, that it's stuffed, but it's a heat sensor. You'll never really see any signs of, you know, wear or, I mean, there's no big build-up of dust or anything on there that might be stopping the sensor from working correctly. But, anyway, let's plug our new one in. Get that in there. Come on. There we go. When you're pushing it in, don't push it in on the wire. Always push around the wire so you're not accidentally breaking any wires. Now this one here, like I said, I don't really want to cut it. So what I might do is actually, let's just, should I actually just tie it to there? No, let's just tie it to here. I don't want it flopping around, so I'm just going to tie this out of the way. Stick that there, might even put another one on there. See what it looks like when we actually put this back in the bowl, see how it's positioned. I think that'll be fine. Right, let's just trim these back. That's it, we replaced it. Okay, now we have to get this back into that. Right, so I'll just get old Bluey here. Where is he? This fella, he's been with me for a long time, old Bluey. I've had him since, I would say, the 90s. I've got about 6 of them. And they're not really looking that great anymore. So I'm just going to set you there. Pull the housing over here. Just get the power lead, just get that out of the way. It's probably a good idea, these, you know, if you've got to this part, to maybe give your inside there a clean. But I think I mentioned earlier on, this is the cleanest dryer I think I've ever seen. Seriously, I don't think this is, it must have been used a fair bit, but they've just really looked after it. But yeah, so what we're going to do is pick that bad boy up there and drop it down into place. I'm not sure how to do this. I don't want you to fall over, so I'm just going to put my drill on the back here. There we go. Can we see? Awesome, that'll do. So I'm just going to grab this, bring it over, and just drop it back into place. Get that wiring harness to feed through. There we go. That's it. Now, I don't know, can you guys see? Right, so remember this piece here? Remember that piece there that I said that it might fall out? Well, it did. Now, just remember, see how at the end here it kind of goes off on an angle there? Watch the way I see if I can actually hold you and do it at the same time. This can be quite confusing to some people. Hang on. Okay, so this here basically slides down here. There is it. Oh, come on. There we go. I've got it around the wrong way. So see how the angle's angling off that way? We want to put that down there. And get it so it pushes down there. That's exactly how it goes. But yeah, take photos, guys. Taking photos is the best thing you can do when repairing something. Okay, so, excuse me, I am basically just going to set you back here. Sorry about that, my gimbal's backed out a bit. It's because I'm kind of putting it on these severe angles. It doesn't like these angles because I've dropped it like 20 times. Okay, so I'm just going to grab those screws that I took from the bottom of the machine. I think it was 3 hex screws and 1 Phillips head. Stick those in. In fact, you can see this part here. Let's get you angled up. In fact, I'll just stick you on this ladder again. That's better. I don't know why I didn't think of that before. All right, so let's lock off that bit of steel that we just put in place just now. That's the top one. That's not going to fall out now. This one here. 3. Get yourself a Phillips head. And get that other Phillips screw, which is this one, by the way. Can you tell? You can actually tell. Can you see how the thread's really wide on that? That basically means it's for plastic. And if you have a look, it's actually going up into the plastic part of the shroud that we just took out. You can actually see it through the hole. It's plastic. So there we go. That's done. Now, what I might do, remember what are you seeing? Okay, remember I unplugged this rather than take that out. I actually just unplugged it. Now let's plug it back in. Is it that one? No, it's this one here. Okay, and that one there goes into our heater. Awesome. Now, let's do the front. Heard something drop off. I think it was the vent at the front. There you go. Now we need to put one. Come on. Okay, stay. Now I don't want you to spack out. This gimbal is really playing up today. Okay, so now what we want to do now is actually, remember we pulled out some Phillips head screws, the ones that I just showed you, because they're going into this plastic. They're those plastic ones. So we want to put one there, one up here, where else? I think we need to put one here. Now remember this part here. Now this part here was over the door lock. Just remember that this tongue, you can see this tongue is at the bottom, so we just have to push that in there. And then there's a screw that goes over there, so just get your last, probably use your last Phillips head. Well, there are 2 more for the door. Now just remember this is actually, in fact, sorry I missed one, there's one that here. Stick that one in. And then it comes time to do the door. Now just remember that the screws for the door, these ones here, are a little bit longer than all of those other screws that we put in. If you want to tell the difference, they are a little bit longer. Not sure how much that matters though. But now the door is actually holding this gimbal down, so I'll just have to replace it with something else. There we go. So grab our door. We'll stick our door on, easy enough, put it out that way, screw it off. Okay, looking good. So, got our wiring harness up the top here. Let's close that, just see, make sure that this closes nicely. Perfect. Alright, so let's put the computer back on. I'll just do that very quickly, it's pretty self-explanatory. So I am putting the original computer that came out of this thing. Alright, now look for the one that has the dot. So that dot there, I am not putting that back in. I am putting this new one back in. Heat sensor. Alright, so this with the dot, let's just tuck this inside there somewhere. That'd be right. Put that back on and I'll grab a couple of screws for the sides. Okay, I'm just going to put this back on, kind of. We'll do it later. I should end this video here, because by now you've probably seen me replace a bowl, but I'll keep going, where should I put you? In fact, I'll hold you. We'll come and grab this bowl. And that bowl should basically just slide in over the top. Hang on a second. Let me just set you back here. We just need to reposition that. Alright, I'm starting this again because my my gimbal spacked out again. Alright, so I'm just going to drop the bowl back in. Get it to sit nicely. There we go, it drops in and it's turning freely. Alright, so with this belt, just grab your belt. You don't have to do this now, but I like to actually just run them through my hand like this. Check for any burrs that are in the belt, because those burrs, when they go through the idler, they can kind of get worse and worse and eventually get tangled up, but this one feels perfect. Okay, don't know how I'm going to show you this. Don't know where I can put you. Let me just stick this here. This might work. I think this will work. Okay, now when you put the belt back on, see this drum, see the motor, how it moves back and forth. Make sure it's all the way back against the wall here. Grab your belt, throw it over your drum, and just have a look on the drum, because there'll be dust. There'll be a dust mark from, you know, when it was being used before, and you can actually see where the belt was. It's because it's just kind of made a mark in the dust. Let's just move it down there a little bit, kind of, and then get the belt and just, you know, pop it over the motor, the armature of the motor, like that. Hopefully you can see that. See what I've done there? It's a bit dark. Hang on, I'll go and get a light. Might make things easier. Alright, got a light. So can you see that better? Let me just get there. There we go. Can you see how it is there? Now, I'll see if I can do this with one hand. If I move, then you just kind of see where the spring is. Pull this spring forward. Just basically see how the belt gets tighter. It's pulling on the tension. Grab that spring and we will hook it onto the bottom. In fact, I'll set you back here. There's actually a hook at the bottom there where the spring goes around. There we go. Just like that. So the tension's pulled on. Just have a look at the back of the drum, make sure that that belt is pretty much in line where the dust was. And what I like to do is just slowly spin it a few times in one direction, and that looks beautiful. Now this idler here is designed to move up and down, so don't be surprised if we go the other direction that it does move. And it moved down very slightly. Not a big deal, that's what it's designed to do. Alright, how easy was that? But that's all we need to do. I've got to put the back on now. Can you see, where did we put the light? That's a point, where'd the light go? Oh, hang on. Alright, you can see there, let's have a look. Can you see our old thermistor? It's just tied to this cord. That should be fine. Everything's looking good. So what I'm going to do now is put the back on this machine. Okay. First thing that I do is grab this is called a strain relief, and we slide the strain relief in the back here, push that in there. And then what I like to do, you can actually see inside here, I like to line these venting pipes up, push those down together, and then I actually just tilt this drum up and make sure that this little drum pin is coming through the bearing. And that's it. Simple, I tell you. Okay, so I'm just going to put the hex bit back on my drill. And I am going to, I'm not going to totally rattle this off. I'm just going to, like I normally just put one screw per corner, as well as the back cover over the top of this, and test it that way. That way if I do need to go back in and do something else, I can. Alright, so we need to put this bearing nut on, so we get the big washer, stick that on, we put our lock washer over that, and then we put our nut over the top of that. When you do that, push this down so you've got a bit of thread there to use, tighten that. Grab your spanner. It doesn't have to be tight, just like this, just like that, and just go. That's it. Don't over tighten it. All right, and then we grab our back cover parts. Oh, hang on a second. You know what I forgot to do? I forgot to do something. I think I forgot to turn the heater on, plug the heater in. So that's our heater here, right? That's our heater. Now, normally there is a plug. I showed you before that plugs into where the power is. I'm pretty sure I didn't do that. So rather than take everything off, we don't need to do that. We can actually just take these two screws out here. If you ever want to replace your heater, that's all you do. Take these two screws out. You can actually pull this out and then re-plug it in. It's simple. So I'm just going to set you there and do that now. Believe me, I've done that so many times. gone to test these things out and went, hang on a second. There we go, see, it's not plugged in. Now let's find that wire. That plug, there we go. We need to plug this in here. There we go. Slide that back in. Just like that. Oh, hang on. I think yeah, there we go. Just like that. Screw. Screw. Now we can put this shroud cover back on, whatever you want to call it. I haven't actually got a name for this thing yet. Let's call it the heater cover. It's basically all it's doing. So we'll just sink a couple of screws in here to hold this on. I don't want to rattle them all off again. Just want to hold it on, and we want to test this out. Alrighty. Looking pretty good. So that should, I'm just going to set you here and drag this dryer over. There we go. Quickly just stick this vent cover back. I hate these things. Get in there. I'll work it out later. Okay. Now, luckily for me, I've already got some wet washing ready to go. Okay. Let's pile that in. See, we're not putting as much in this time. It's probably about 4 kilograms worth. This is a 6 kilogram, it's a 5 kilogram dryer. We'll lock that up. Okay, let's plug it in. I think it's going to turn on. There we go. Now let's just hit, so it's on crease free, normal dry. Okay, let's hit play. So, fingers crossed, what do you think? Have we fixed it? I don't know. It's the only thing it can be, right? Don't know why I have such a hard time with these things. There we go. All right. Fingers crossed we have fixed it. Fingers crossed. I've got to do a few things, so I'll keep an eye on this. I'll record the time and see if this turns off at a respectable time. And I'll let you know how we go. Oh, there we go. It looks like it was a faulty heat sensor after all. I mean, we are on the cooling end of the cycle and it's been going for about 45 minutes. So I'm pretty confident that we fixed the problem. Having said that, I am definitely going to be test drying this a bunch more times. Just not in this video because I'm pretty sure I've done enough test dries in this video. All I wanted to do in this video was really show you how to replace one of those heat sensors. I know it was the very first time I've had to do it, like I said in the video, but it's, you know, it's doable. It's whether you want to go in and pull everything apart to do it, it's not that difficult. You just have to pull the entire guts of the machine out. But having said that, there are only really two big pieces that you have to kind of pull out: the bowl and that, you know, that piece that's sitting up there, that shroud. Other than that, it's just a few screws.
But yeah, well, there you go. Thanks for watching. I'm sorry it's a long one. Oh, listen to that. Oh, it's just finished. Awesome. What timing. So there you go, guys. I'm sorry it's another long one, but when I kind of troubleshoot something and try and fix something, expect it. That's kind of my style, I guess. But there you go. Thanks again. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.